Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Dreams to Keys Realty YouTube channel. I am Jalon Strong, the essential millennial realtor here of Dreams to Keys Realty, and welcome everyone to our channel. If you are new here, please come on in, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any content that we put up on this channel, and also like the video and share it with anyone that you know is interested in real estate or the housing market. We know that there is something that we post or that we put as a video or that we talk about on a live that is of interest not only to you, but someone that you're connected to. Someone that you're connected to is interested in the home ownership journey. And by subscribing, liking, and sharing this content, you help us to reach those individuals. Thank you all for coming in to this video, and hopefully you find it informative. We're going to start with some key points that we always try to talk about for our company, which is that we offer free consultations. The consultations can be booked by going to the link in the bio or the link in the description box where you see beacons.ai/Jalon Strong. You can also go to our website, and that Beacons link will take you to a link to our website where we've previously shown in videos where the Beacons link has a tab that says Let's Talk. It will take you to our website where you can schedule an appointment time or consultation time with me one-on-one. During that time, we will talk about your specific scenario for no more than 1 hour. If you schedule a time and you do not attend the scheduled time, you will incur a $15 no-show fee. So please make sure that you schedule a time when you are prepared to attend. And if you have something to come up prior to that time, that you reschedule it so that you do not incur the $15 no-show fee. We have My Dreams Have Keys merchandise. We have journals, ebooks, of course, which are a part of our online store, but our merchandise for My Keys Have Dreams includes our journals, our shirts, baseball style shirts, our hoodies, crew necks, and so much more can be on the way. But we encourage you to look at our online store. Of course, you can go to the link in the bio or the link in the description, which is still moving about at the bottom of the screen, which is beacons.ai/Jalon Strong. It will take you to the Dreams to Keys Realty website where you can find our merch. So to get to that website from the beacons.ai/Jalon Strong link that you see in the description box, make sure to go to the tab underneath the Let's Talk consultation tab. That tab says Dreams to Keys merch or Dreams to Keys Realty merch. And from there, it will take you to our online store where you will find all of the things that I mentioned that we offer as merchandise or ebooks. The link in the bio highlight of the week for this week is Substack. And I'm going to actually take you to our link in the bio link so you can see where we now have Substack on that link. So give me 1 second so that I can connect us to that screen. I'm going to share that screen. And I want to double check and make sure everyone can see what I can see. So give me 1 second. And it looks like you can see what I can see. So here is the link in the bio. It has changed since 2024. But you will see here at the top, we have our links, some very important links to our social media pages. So from left to right, we have where you can email us. Excuse me. We also have Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, which is a new addition, and Substack is here. What you will notice is that we no longer have our TikTok icon here. We are still currently on TikTok. However, there's some politics around TikTok in the US, and we want to make sure that we still have access to our ideal clients and customers as things transition, if they should. And we want to make sure we're able to get out the content that we can to those that are interested in this platform. Substack is not a TikTok alternative or replica. It is one where we post articles, and if we get up to 10 subscribers, we can then go live. So we will be using that to our advantage for another means to go live once we reach that point. So please go to the link in the bio or the link in the description, which is beacons.ai/Jalon Strong. Click on this Substack icon and subscribe to our profile or our page on that platform so that we can get to the point where we can start having lives on Substack. I'm going to stop sharing that screen. And now we're going to talk about an article that references the title of this live, which is Fire Resistant Residential Properties. As some of you may know, at the beginning of this year in the US, we had news of fires in California. And we're going to talk about what stood out as far as some of those fires not consuming some homes. We're going to talk about what it looked like for a review of those properties to have taken place and see what those that reviewed the properties that are still standing and some of the factors and features of those properties that help them to not burn in those fires. So I'm going to share a screen now of the article that we're going to talk about throughout this video. And of course, I want to make sure you can see what I see. So give me just a second. And now you can see what I see. So you can see the article. The article is from NPR, and the title is Some Los Angeles. Here's How. This article was published on January 17th, 2025 at 5:54 a.m. Eastern Standard Time by Lauren Sommer. So we will be reviewing this article and taking some of the points that are mentioned here that we can learn from should you be interested in making your home fire resistant, or if you're looking to build a home from the ground up on land. These are some tips that you can possibly take in that process to be more informed before something like this happens. And of course, we send our thoughts and prayers to those in the fire that were affected by the firestorms in California. And we pray that they're able to not only recover and rebuild, but to be restored to their way of life. Now let's start reading. Have been destroyed in Los Angeles, the charred piles of wood and metal, all that remains after the fast-moving wildfires. But within the wreckage, some homes are still standing, seemingly untouched. It's a phenomenon that's been seen in other high-intensity fires, something that can feel like a stroke of luck. Sometimes the houses survived because the winds could have shifted at just the right moment. But more often, fire experts are finding those homeowners took key precautions that likely saved their homes from burning. The key safeguards are things that can be done to the house itself, as well as the environment directly around it, including the density of flammable plants. Many are already requirements in California's building code for fire-prone areas, and its rules for clearing nearby brush and vegetation, known as creating defensible space. Few other Western states have adopted similar standards, even those that have seen destructive wildfires. So before we move on, I just want to bring up the point that this article is talking about the area and how things have shifted. And one of the things that we may often think or hear when we look at the housing market is the code. And there are certain things that change over time and codes that change over time, which can be reflective of what has previously happened in that area or what is likely to happen in that area. And what we can learn, even if you're not considered in an area that may be prone to fires, where you have to have fire insurance, let's say, these are things that you can take into consideration, because unfortunately, when we reviewed different videos about the firestorm, we saw that there were individuals, unfortunately, walking around lighting fires, which is arson. So in the event that someone, let's say, commits a crime where fire is involved near your property, maybe these are things that you want to take into consideration regardless of any coding or standards for housing or buildings in your area, because sometimes we encounter these disasters or these unfortunate events, not necessarily at the hands of the elements, but also at the hands of those that have ill intent, unfortunately. So think about that. Regardless of where you live, there could be some things that you can take away from this article and from this video that can help you in just thinking about how to make your home more fire resistant. Let's get back to reading the article. In Los Angeles, fire experts are surveying these surviving homes, looking for clues about worked in the hope of construction standards and helping prevent similar disasters. The first section that we'll talk about here is forensics for buildings. So looking at this article, reading it again, it says Steve Hawks is a forensic analyst of sorts, not for crime scenes, but in Pasadena, he walks up a fire, which consumed or damaged more than 7,000 structures. Hawks is here with a team from the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety, a nonprofit research group that studies how buildings burn, funded by the insurance industry. After major fires, the group deploys to study how buildings fare in such extreme conditions. He squints at a building that was once a detached garage, now a heap of blackened or blacked debris with only fragments of walls still standing. With the winds that were pushing the fire that night, I'm sure this was pretty high intensity, he says, scanning the charred hills above. But nearby, the house is standing, looking largely unscathed. Hawk's job is to try to figure out why. So before we move to the next section, I want to point out that this article mentions a nonprofit research group that's funded by the insurance industry, which was news to me. I had not heard of this this group before. The Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety, which they mention is a nonprofit research group that studies how buildings burn. And what we know from this article now, knowing about this research group, is that we can look to this group moving forward, should we have questions or look for advice on what the insurance industry is looking at as far as standards to prevent homes from being burned. And of course, this is relative to this article. There could be other groups, other nonprofit research groups or organizations also looking at this work. The number one thing that they're referencing here that Hawks has found that they start as the number one topic is clearing vegetation that connects to the house. Hawks pulls up a satellite image of the house before the fire, which shows the detached garage surrounded by green, the plants nestled right up to the walls. So you can see vegetation right up against this garage, which likely led to the ignition of the structure, he says. Wildfires are often spread through embers, tiny bits of burning debris that strong winds can cast more than a mile away. If embers land in a bush or tree, the fire can spread to new places, even if the surrounding homes aren't burning. And we see images of what it looks like in the Eaton fire of the Los Angeles fires. It's why Los Angeles has rules requiring defensible space, mandating that trees be trimmed back from the roof line and bushes be spaced out. Homes in high-risk areas get yearly inspections to ensure homeowners comply. The key is to ensure the plants and bushes aren't touching each other and the house acting like a highway for the flames. If one bush or item ignites, then we want it to be able to burn out safely and not ignite the next one and next one. And the next thing you know, the fire's at the house, Hawk says. California is currently drafting rules that will put even stricter limits on vegetation directly next to the house's walls. Studies show that plants growing within 5 feet of a structure dramatically increases the risk of ignition. That first 5 feet is just so critical, Hawk says. No combustible items in the first 5 feet away from the wall. So let's stop since this is the end of that first point in this article. Essentially, what they're saying is they found that when we have plants closer to our structures, such as our homes, in this case, they're referencing a garage that was burned, and they saw that looking at the satellite image of the home prior to all of this, there were plants all around the garage. And those plants, they believe, because they're able to catch fire and because they're so close to the structure, that they help to ignite the fire onto the structure. They have also noted that there are some regulations being discussed for California to put stricter limits on vegetation. They've also mentioned that homeowners in these areas are having their homes inspected yearly if they're in these high-risk areas. That's something that someone in an area that may not have such a high risk may not be accustomed to. So think of that. Think of if you want to live in an area that's considered high risk, how you would need to get yearly inspections to comply. Think of what they call defensible space, meaning that there's area away from your trees and roof. So your trees and your bushes are not up against the roof space, and this specific individual here, Hawks, the forensic analyst, he mentions that the first 5 feet is just so critical. So that gives us the impression that at least more than 5 feet distance from your structure and your vegetation or plants should be given to make the defensible space to prevent ignition if it occurs at your plant or vegetation, that it will not jump to that it should not theoretically jump to your structure, home, garage, or what have you. However, they also mentioned that the wind and its ability to push the flammable debris onto other structures that they also note can push it across a mile or more could also impact if, let's say, there is not a fire directly next to you, but it's a mile away and the wind is strong, that it could carry it into your vegetation. And if your vegetation is very close to your home, or structure, then your home or structure could then also catch fire. We're going to talk about some other things with the home in particular and things you can do to make it fire resistant as we go through the rest of this article. So let's get back to reading the article. Putting space between buildings. As this detached garage burned, it likely produced extreme radiant heat, reaching temperatures in the thousands of degrees. That heat is enough to ignite nearby buildings. But in this case, the main house is sitting 30 feet from the garage. If this garage was closer, it could have led to the loss of this structure, Hawk says. Our research is saying at 10 feet or less, that's so close together that when one ignites and is building, even good materials have a hard time withstanding that much exposure. And here we have some of the flammable items that burn in a house in Pasadena. An analysis from Hawk's team found when the Palisades fire damage was the worst, more than half the homes were distanced less than 20 feet apart. And that's the end of that section. So let's pause. Here we see where we're not only talking about what is next to you have around your home as vegetation or plants, but we see the distance between your home and the next one coming into question as far as what could have led to each home to the next one. So if your vegetation is connected, let's say it's climbing up your home or it's connecting your home to another home, helps move the fire along. And also, if your homes are close together, that there is more of a chance that your home could catch fire if the homes next to you are on fire. And they specifically give a mention that in this Palisades fire, they noticed that the homes were closer than 20 feet. And they're recommending that homes be 30 feet or more away from the other, or structures be 30 feet or more from the next. So that's something to consider if you're looking to buy a home or buy land, that you want to consider if you're looking for some fire resistant methods for your property, that consider how close the property is to the next one. How many feet is that? Is that within the amount of distance where you're likely to also have your home on fire if the home next to you catches on fire? So that's something to consider. About vegetation, and we talked about distance between structures or homes. Now let's finish with this third point, using fire-resistant building materials. And we're reading the article again. While the house was spared, Hawks spots a burn mark on its outside wall, appearing to be from something that was sitting right next to the house and caught on fire. But the flames didn't ignite the rest of the house because its exterior is covered in stucco, not a more flammable material such as wood. The home's building materials check a lot of other boxes for Hawks. The roof is fire resistant, which is known as Class A. The gutters are metal, and the windows are made of double paned tempered glass, which are better at resisting shattering in high heat. Even the smallest details can matter. Hawks points to the attic vents just under the roof line, which are covered in mesh. If the mesh coverings are too large, embers can fly directly into a house and ignite it from the interior. So if you take a common golf tee and try to poke it through the mesh, if it goes through, it's too big, he says. Down. The surviving house is a newer one, Hawk says. The homeowner likely had to construct it to comply with California's building codes for wildfire areas, known as Chapter 7A, which mandate many of these features. Studies show that for new construction, the codes don't have to add a significant cost. Older homes in the area don't often meet these codes, but Hawk says retrofits can still be done. Every house that doesn't burn in an extreme wildfire is beneficial to the whole community, Hawk says, since it doesn't produce the heat and embers that can spread the fire to others. We're not going to be able to keep fires out from every community under every situation. So we need to prepare communities, and that's at the parcel level, Hawk says. So let's talk about this section, which is the end of the article. In this section, they're talking about the fire-resistant materials that can be used. So they point out non-flammable exterior. So they talk about stucco. Now, stucco from a real estate agent perspective is one that when I see that on a property in my area or the areas of the markets that I service, I caution my clients about stucco needing an additional inspection. Stucco is the type of material that you may see outside of certain commercial properties, such as restaurants, and you may still see them on some residential properties in my local markets. The reason why stucco is tricky is because it creates another layer, and this is my interpretation of it. Of course, an inspector may have a different wording, but it creates another layer outside of the exterior to cover the exterior, and it is beneficial in some ways. However, if it's not done properly when installed or put on the exterior of the home, then it could incur some mold behind there that's not visible to the eye. And that's why it requires an additional inspection of someone who is certified, I believe is the correct word, in stucco. So stucco is tricky. Now, here, as a real estate agent, I would caution my clients to get a specific inspection for the stucco by someone who has been certified or licensed in that area. And here they're saying there's benefits with stucco to prevent the wildfire. So that shows as an element that not prevented the wildfire, but prevented that home from being consumed by the fire. They mentioned that the garage was consumed, but they looked at the home, and the home itself survived, and the home they're mentioning had stucco as a benefit. So that is a benefit of stucco that we're finding in this article, but keep in mind that there are other things to consider with stucco, and you need an additional inspection, and it's really critical how stucco is done initially, because if it's done incorrectly, the cost to fix that may be incurred, that you may not desire that additional cost. It really matters how it's done to start with, and that it's inspected. If you're buying a home that, let's say, is not one that you're building from the ground up, but it already has stucco on it, you want to make sure it's properly inspected. So the other thing is, it's mentioning that, so there was no flammable exterior. Stucco was mentioned. Metal gutters, metal roofing were mentioned as fire-resistant materials that were used on that surviving home. It also mentioned double pane tempered glass, as they would not shatter in high heat. So that's something to consider as well. Is the glass in your home able to stand high heat? Is it double paned? So that's something to also consider if you're looking to make your home more fire resistant. And the last thing that they mentioned was the mesh covered attic vents that are no larger than a common golf tee. So having those mesh coverings for the attic vents, preventing that debris or the embers of the fires from being up into the home. That was a benefit that they noted here. So there are several things to take from this article. I'll stop sharing my screen now. There are several things to take from this article. And I hope that we're able to take these things, think about what we want in a home, whether you are a homeowner now or you're looking to be one. Think of these things. Think of how close the home that you're looking to purchase is next to surrounding homes. How many feet is that? Think of what you see as far as the mesh coverings, the glass. Think of the exterior. Is it metal? Is it stucco? If that's your preference. Think of all the things that we saw mentioned in this article for the surviving home of a wildfire, most recently this year, this month actually, in our United States, in the state of California. So these are some things to think on, keep in mind. And even if you are a current homeowner, they mentioned that can be used to update your home to make it resistant. So keep that in mind. Should you have any questions or concerns about what we discussed, any comments, please put them down below in the comment section. We'll not only review them now, but we'll also review them later on the replay. And we're going to sign out. We hope that you have a great rest of your day. This is Dreams to Keys Realty, where your dreams turn into keys. I am Jalon Strong, the Essential Millennial Realtor, and we hope to see you in the next video.